What's going on, guys? Me Sync here. Today we have a story time. This one is definitely a good one. It's a little bit scary. It might involve the police, and it was definitely a close call. So let's go back to the prehistoric days of COVID. I was chilling at home with nothing to do. I feel as like most people were doing that during COVID / quarantine, but this was after the initial shock when all the mask stuff started to calm down and social distancing wasn't as heavily enforced. And that meant that I started hanging out with my friends a little bit more. I'd never really stopped, but I definitely like calmed down. But anyway, my boy, let's call him Jimmy, hits me up and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing, bro?" And I'm like, "Ain't shit." And then he asks if I want to hang. I'm like, "Hell yeah." Scheduled to meet up in an hour, and he pulls up to my house and we just get to talking for a little bit. And then it just turns into us doing nothing, but now there's two of us. So we decide that we're gonna go to a walk to this little shopping center near my house and get some food. It's about a 15-minute walk, and it's a very easy walk. It follows this bike trail that's close to my house. The whole walk, it was pretty uneventful. I think we stopped at this burger place for food, and we eat our food. Then we are answered with the age-old question of, what do we do now? So we had two options. We either go back to my house or we keep walking the bike trail. And the bike trail didn't just end at the shopping center, it kept going for quite a ways, so we just decided to keep walking. And you could have guessed the walk was pretty uneventful, just chatting and more chatting. And Jimmy and I find this little road that connects to the bike path, and we're like, oh, let's check it out. It looked cool. The area looked a bit like an industrial type district, and there were tons of warehouses and car lots and stuff, and very, like, if you've ever been to like, I don't know, bro, it's kind of area that like a Sherwin-Williams paint store would be in or something, if that makes sense. Or like tow truck lots. We walk around looking at like the various buildings, and we find one that looks a little unkept. This place was kind of messed up. There were weeds all around it. It had a little side yard that was completely overgrown, and it had these big pieces of plywood on the ground that looked like kind of a makeshift pathway. And there was trash all over the ground and bags and stuff, and it looked like some sort of a homeless abandoned, like, oh wow, an abandoned homeless camp. This camp was surrounding the building, and the building had windows, and inside the camp we noticed that there was an open window connected to the warehouse. And Jimmy and I, both being the same dumbass, we immediately decided to go in and check it out. Now this was one of those windows that kind of folded outwards. I don't know how to describe it, but picture like a seesaw. It kind of like seesawed open, if that makes sense. I don't know. But we go inside, we slip through the window, and we just start fucking around, you know, looking at shit. And we noticed that part of the roof was caved in. There were a bunch of old books and stuff, and it was kind of this office space area. And it must have been like the break room, or like where the managers did all their paperwork and stuff or whatever. And there was this big part of the warehouse, the actual warehouse part. It was huge. And me and Jimmy noticed that there was a bunch of shit left. There was a bunch of like what looked like product that the place would be selling. It seemed like a metal working place. There was a bunch of like metal rods and trusses and like poles and stuff. And we kept exploring, but we both got the feeling that this place might not actually have been abandoned. But we get bored and leave after like 10 minutes, and then we left the way we came in, back out the window, and then we went to the parking lot of the building and just stood there talking about like, you know what, just what to do next. And a minute later, I shit you not, a minute later, a police car rolls into the parking lot. Now this dude stops right in front of us, and he looks like, oh, I know what you guys did. Like, right, I'm gonna come for you guys. And he rolls down his window and asks us if we saw anyone go in the building. And he points right at the warehouse that we just left. He said that a silent alarm was tripped on the window and that the police station got a notification about it. And I don't know how this worked, but we both said no and that we were just taking pictures because the area did look pretty sick and we were taking photos. I have photos. I'm not going to show any because it could probably like lead to this area being identified. But for some reason, some of the shops had cherry blossom trees in front of them and it looked really sick. Like, dude, oh, it was really pretty. Like, the area looked so run down and then there was just this beautiful tree in front of it. It gave me this kind of weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt bittersweet. I don't know. It's like the feeling you get from like an abandoned city and it looks like pretty. I don't know, whatever. Now, I think the cop definitely knew that we were bullshitting, but he somehow seemed to believe us. It's either that or he had no reason to stop us because he didn't see us go in, so he had no proof that it was us. Or the fact that we were literal teenagers, and he definitely could tell that we were younger. But anyway, that's the story, guys. How the police almost caught me and my friend going into an abandoned warehouse. Pretty spooky one. Literally, if we were like a minute later, the guy would have caught us coming out, which is fucking crazy. Who knows what would have happened. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to share any of your story times in the comments. Be sure to like, sub, check out the Discord in the description, and peace.